Wait! Before you skip ahead and continue, check the timestamps, playlists for other floor sets, check my merch store for Deep Dungeon apparel. Cue the intro. Hello, I am Angelus Demonus, with an updated Dawntrail live tutorial guide for Palace of the Dead solo on Machinist, if your goal is to get the Necromancer title. This live tutorial guide will cover floors 161 to 170. I will deep dive into every enemy on this set, showcasing their aggro types and what to look out for, and talk about the notable mentions, such as the enemies that double attack, how to maximize your kiting potential, and 2 different strategies for the floor 170 boss. There will be a lot of deep dungeon tips scattered throughout this set, so be sure to check out the timestamps in the description below for anything specific. If you are looking for the other floor sets, be sure to check the playlist on the upper right card in the description below. A difference between this guide and the previous ones I have done in Endwalker and Shadowbringers is that I have limited live chat interactions and kept the focus strictly on the Deep Dungeon content. This will play almost like a Deep Dungeon podcast with gameplay and a couple of viewer questions sprinkled in. I have learned from viewers of previous guides that they like to play along with the video up on another screen or monitor while they do their own run, and it's almost like I'm talking you through the run in real time. If you have any questions on anything that goes on with this run, things I may not have covered, or if you are confused on anything, be sure to leave them in the comments below and I will try to respond as soon as I can. My goal with these guides is to make the grueling challenge of the Necromancer title approachable and viable to all skill levels. No single question is silly, and every single experience is unique. Be sure to keep me posted on how your runs are going. Good luck, have fun, and I hope this guide helps you. 161 set, Dinoville, our last bit of the Dinoville. It's actually, I would say 161 in my opinion, is slightly more manageable than the previous set. The previous set had the imps, the dolls, the pots, all that stuff, and we had to kind of navigate around certain enemies. I would argue a lot of the enemies here are very manageable, unless you have bad debuffs. And that's the thing that might dictate how we kind of handle the rest of it. But we'll do our checks here before we enter the floor. First, make sure, if you haven't, I mean, by now, you really should be having your leg graze and your foot graze on here. Check your potions that we have, and check your other potions to make sure that you have it here. We're going to replenish some of the potions that we have. We picked up 2 on the run, so we are on a net positive. I think we had 139 walking into the last set. Now we have 151, so that's pretty good. Food check as well. If you're using food, I will be intentionally not using food, just to kind of be in respect for like free trial gamers who have a very limited options of food when they go in. So if you have food, anything above 540 is great. I like to use direct hit determination, so do that before you enter it. And let's go 161 plus. Dinoville. Again, as you're progging, I definitely recommend do a raising here if it's your first time up here. Some of these things can be a little bit... Oh, games like, hey, you should use a raising. Like, I shall oblige. We'll do a raising. Not a terrible idea to push your strength at 2 as well. It's something that I have been doing throughout this run, so definitely take into consideration. First enemy we'll fight here is an annoying one. It is a patrol. It is sight aggro. But I don't like fighting this. But we'll fight it, of course, to show you guys. The thing it's going to do is it's going to open with a conal, which, by the way, if you get hit with it, you're getting deep freezed and you're probably dead on the next ability. After this, it's going to do a AoE attack, which is an unavoidable slow. And that slow is the thing that I hate a lot, anything with slow. Again, this is one of those things about diminishing return that we were mentioning on the previous set. If you decide to fight one, it would be a really good idea to fight multiple of them, because they are going to slowly get that diminishing return on the slow going in. Lindwurm, one of the easiest ones to fight here. It is a sight aggro. It just does an AoE, which is actually a pretty painful AoE if you stand in it. It gives you a dot as well. And we just go here. It doesn't do any double attacks, it just does that telegraph, so it's a very, very good and approachable pull here. The crocodile in front of me is one of the first danger enemies, if you will, that needs to take a little bit of attention. Here you want to open with the sprint. You want to open with sprint. So this is actually going to be the biggest strategy that Machinist will have throughout the rest of this run. You could use it on the previous run. Opening sprint for 20 seconds. You don't want to sprint when you pull, because if you sprint in combat, it's 10 seconds. So you open with sprint. Once the sprint drops, we do leg graze that adds an additional 10 seconds of kiting. and then you have 30 seconds of essentially mitigation before this thing really gets to you. So we're gonna open here, pull, I'm gonna keep away, gonna run away from this thing. We did get hit a little bit here, but it's okay. It's a lot better than getting all the other damage in. And we're gonna kill it before the sprint goes off. Now the sprint is just about to wear off, so we do that heavy, and now it has to chase me here. And boom. We did talk about the slow Heat Blast combination on the previous set. So the Heat Blast does, in fact, bypass slow debuff because it does set your GCD to a certain amount. So Heat Blast is going to be really good to counter. Now, that pull in particular that I had, even though I knew the slow was coming in, I just didn't have a Heat Blast available for that pull, so I couldn't do and demonstrate it there. Mimic here, no big deal. I'd rather fight Mimics right now, in general. And by the time it gets to me, it's going to be mostly dead. Do a little bit of Stagger Kiting there. Perfect execution of Stagger Kiting. Perfect execution of Stagger Kiting. That Stagger Kiting is, as it's coming at me, I kind of run away from it. I just get out of range, and sometimes you can actually avoid the auto attack damage. Really useful if you get that down. Here I'll pull the Lindwurm, because the Crocodile is going to be a little bit more threatening. Another patrol is coming in, so I'll watch that too. A lot of these initial enemies are sight aggro, so it's kind of nice to navigate through them. If I didn't mention, the Croc is sight. Gonna wait for that patrol to get on out of here, then we'll proceed to the next floor. Okay. He just moved, this one just moved, so I should be good to move past it right now. We have our first instance of the... Sorry, the alligator. I like to call it an alligator, I'm not gonna bother. This one is going to be on the easier side of things too. Checking chest, which isn't what you should do. It'll do a conal here. And that's about it. So very similar to the Lindwurms. Sarcosuchus. There we go, nailed it. Alligator. Easier to say. So not too bad of a pull here. Definitely your ideal pick for pulls. That was a sight, right? Wait. Oh, you dropped the... No, yeah, dropped this chest. I want to check that chest, but that's a little risky there. We'll see. I gotta wait for movement anyway, so I gotta get the sight back, and I would like to get this bronze chest. I could get the bronze chest. Yeah, I can get it right now. Waiting for this crocodile to move. Here we go. That is risky, but I might be able to get through. Nope, just kidding. Gonna actually open with the leg raise here first. So we can do a little bit of an adjusted strategy here. We open with the leg raise first and then sprint thereafter. So it's a bit of a 20-second mitigation, but it's not too bad. That's the difference between opening with a sprint on the pull and then opening with the thing. Alright, we're gonna wait for that. We're gonna wait for the thingy to get on out of here before we proceed. Sometimes it'd be like that. Sometimes you just have to wait for things to happen. I could just fight it, to be honest, but it'll be fine, and we can just wait. Of course, these crocodiles are becoming a little bit of a jerk. I will fight this one if it... Oh, it's totally gonna aggro. I'll just pull this one, actually. Sprint. I don't have sprint. Okay, we'll do the same combination here where we do a leg raise first. So the problem is they're gonna like kind of bounce off each other. Because this one's gonna go back, this one's gonna go forward, so I'm just gonna kill this one now. To the next floor. Serenity. Okay. Alright, so one thing I want to show you guys that you may have not noticed If you've never pulled these crocodiles before, their eyes are in their mouth. If you look really close in their mouth, their eyes are in the mouth. Look at it. It's very scary, honestly, to be, you know. But little crocodile lore for you. Okay, that's like the last one I'm gonna pull. What debuffs would I Serenity on this floor set? Oh man, I would say you're probably looking at a lot of double debuffs that are coming in. Because if it's just abilities, I'm fine. I can just sprint, it's fine. I have damage. If it's just Gloom, I can still leg race. I think if you're looking at combo ones, then that's probably what I'm gonna do, like ability Gloom, ability no items, Gloom no items. That's where you're gonna see me probably start to use them. Watching where that patrol's going. Okay, I'm gonna proceed past the patrol now. Good movement there. Checking the chest first. F1's gonna use it. Okay, still looking for the exits. Because I want to be able to fight to the exit or fight for... Okay, the exit's here. So I'm going to check this other room first, and we're going to see if we can sneak that chest before we start working the exit. So the ideal situation here of navigating through these floors, especially on the floors as we proceed up, is that you want to get to all the chests as best as you can before you open the exit. Especially when you're talking about DPS, you don't have to worry about cooldowns as much as, say, a warrior does, where it's ideal to kind of, you know, if your berserk's available, use the berserk. Here I can sit on some cooldowns, not a big deal. But I want to make sure I get to these chests before the exit opens, because if they are mimics, they will contribute to the exit, as opposed to if the exit's already open, then we have a mimic, then we're wasting time. Additionally, as I got through all of the rooms available and I saw where the chests are, I'm now going to just fight from the exit going backwards. So it kind of means I clear up this room and we're good to go in that department. Checking chests. Serenity again. Wait, secondary chest. 3 Serenity? Really? Oh wow, it is 3 Serenity. Dang. It's funny because last floor I was advertising as something that had bad debuffs. Like it is historically something that has too much debuffs a lot of times. And this floor in particular would have regenerated all your Serenity if you happen to use up all of it. Kind of works out. Of course, I was still conservative on my end, but it is nice to see it. And we're out. For the next floor, pretty good. That was a low kill count. It actually, if you notice, you can probably rewind the video on this one. The key did not even turn orange, it just went from blue to white. And someone was kind of asking that at the very beginning of the tutorial back at floor 1, I think. Can you tell with the key? Can you tell how many keys are going? I'm like, nope, just RNG. That's one example there, which is literally just it's like, yep, today it's just gonna go through. Okay, first instance of Wivre. Wivre, basically, best way to think about it is that it's just like the Croc, just hits harder. Just exactly the same thing as the Crocodile, it just does hit a little bit harder. So it's something that you want to take care of. You'll have version 3 later with the Triceratops. That'll be even harder than this, but you do want to take care of these guys when they show up. Do the same thing, open with sprints, get the kiting going. If the sprint drops and it's still alive, pop your leg Graze to give it a little bit more movement debilitation, and you got that kill. Now here, what I would recommend, especially if I had just opened sprint here and the leg raise, I will try to pull something that doesn't require me to use that. So ideally, I want to fight the crocodile here, because rather the alligator here, because I'm going to allow my sprint to come back on cooldown. Then when the sprint is back on cooldown, then I can pull the other Wivre that's over there, because it's kind of blocking the chest, but we'll see. Because one thing that's going to be really important is that you kind of have this kind of alternation of pulls, so that you'll fight the harder things with your full movement, and you'll fight kind of the easier things with, like, you know, your regular movement. It can be very similar to, say, if you're running melee, where you would fight something harder with Bloodbath, and then you fight something easier without Bloodbath. It's kind of the same kind of thought process there. I may want to wait for my heals to come in. Also, I don't have the best running room with that patrol floating in, so I'll just wait a second here. Although everything did move, and I can actually squeeze out this chest here before I have to deal with anything. And it is a Mimic, which is fine. It's perfectly fine, because we're still trying to progress towards the exit here. Now, one thing I can try to do here, 70% here, pop. Nope, no go. No fancy strat there. So if I got that correctly, we might have gotten that kill, although he did smack me kind of at the end there, so I might have died as well if I didn't get that timing right. And I am being conservative with my sustaining potions. Most of the times you guys would probably use the sustaining potion by now. Nothing wrong with that. But we are going with a lower amount, so I am... What the heck? Did you see that movement? So we are trying to be a little bit conservative with our usage. I made a mistake. Dude, I was scratching my nose and I lost my thingy. Okay. Beauty. Scratching your nose causes deaths, guys. Be careful, okay? I will pull this and more than like... Nope, I didn't get it. Damn. Rip. Okay, we'll just fight this. No problem. I was trying to be a little risky there because I had burned the sprint a little too early, but fine. Don't have my heat blast for this, so I wasn't quite ready. Got my burst coming in very soon here. Okay. I can actually sneak the chest now, because he's a... Oh, I was targeted on the crocodile. My bad. Okay, it's fine. Sometimes it'd be like that. Gonna pop a potion here. So with a potion, these things are definitely gonna be really manageable. You know, it may look like it's a little risky, etc., but it's just because I'm keeping my healing very optimal. But if you run below 50, definitely recommend popping those sustaining potions. So I'm gonna have to pull this now, still, because I would still want to get the chest. We're still not even close to the exit right now, so I have to really keep the kills a little bit to a minimum here. Well, I know this chest is a Mimic anyway, but that's perfectly fine. We actually have a landmine here which you can utilize. If we get a little risky to do so, but we'll see what the situation gives me. Yeah, check. Affluence, we'll use it. Averaging about 5 minutes per floor based on the 45-minute marks, that's perfectly fine. If I have to get the chest, I need to go to my left, and the Wivre right now is blocking me, so I will not go for the chest that's on the south side. I'm just going to proceed towards the exit here. Hopefully I don't aggro this alligator here. Okay, we're good. So in this case, I'm skipping that chest just because, you know, it's just I'd have to do another kill to get over there, so we're just going to proceed to the next floor. If it costs me a kill to get over there, when the exit's already open, I skip. Okay, no items here. I do have the raising, and I got a steal. Okay, we'll try to get through here. We'll just play very carefully. The Mylodon is going to be our first instance of that pull here. So we're going to sprint open. It's going to, if we stay away from it, it's going to just use Slow Ball, which is its range attack. If we're kind of close, it'll do a Conal here, which it just did there. And then it'll do unavoidable AoE attack here. Consider like a ranged double attack, if you will. If it ever gets it off. There it is. Moderate damage, especially when you're not running items right now. Okay. Now, we're gonna fight this one. Vinegaroon, which we like to call the meme dino. Very, very fun fight. You can kind of cheese it a little bit. It'll do its first attack here. You're gonna get behind it on the second attack. And it basically is going to be spamming third leg back constantly, provided you're in that conal by the time he finishes. And you can basically have him on lockdown here, making him one of the easiest enemies in all of Deep Dungeon. He will eventually stop doing this after about 8 attempts, but he'll go right back to his front conal, and then you can repeat the whole process all over again. Very, very good one to pull, especially when you have to wait for like your sprint timer, so on and so forth. So something to definitely take into consideration here. gonna go for this, the bronze chest here so I can see if I can get a potsherd, especially because we are trying to farm those potsherds. Hopefully not avoiding the Wivre. Honestly, if we actually pull a Wivre, unless I pull it with my full kiting, may consider a Serenity, because I have to make sure I'm in full readiness, ready mode for that one. Is this going to be different from the previous ones and before? I would like to think so. I'm gonna be a little bit more focused in on the actual content. Kind of as mentioned, I am going to be strictly talking about what we're doing here, not so much with that chat interaction. Gonna see if that's a little bit better, so to talk as much as I can about the actual run, so to be focused in there. There are some adjustments that we made, like some boss things that we've learned. I'm also gonna really try to do as many strategies as I can with all the pulls, but the depth of the content should be basically, you know, pretty much similar to what you're gonna expect from the previous tutorials. Holding. But I like to think that we are a little bit more refined nowadays than we were last time. Pulling the Lindwurm as one of the easier enemies, we can try to utilize the silver chest once more as a free kill, which I'm going to try to do here. Got him. 70% is the magic number. As long as I am above 70%, we get that free kill that way. Again, that's a little bit of an advanced strategy. You don't have to do that, but hey, that's how you kind of execute it right there if you want to try to do it. It's really, it saves you a lot of time if you're used to it. And with that specific mob, that was actually a really good enemy to do it on, because he was going to get trapped on a telegraph over there. So I could use it while he's doing the telegraph, and then boom, get the free kill. And even if it did kill, I had enough to probably heal myself thereafter. I'm going to heal here. Okay, we're going to do the leg race here, so I can get that mitigation going now. So he'll have a hard time catching up to me. We are off of this floor. No items. Huge. And that's one thing that I'm going to try to do too, big, is that every time we get to a no items floor, I'm going to try my best to get through without using the Serenity. Because I think that's so important to showcase that it is possible. Because, you know, trying to apply that to your own gameplay, that would be, you know, the hard part. But hey, I think showing possibility is what's important. Alright, we're going to take the Vinegaroon here. Again, easier enemy to deal with. We wait for that front cone to come in. It is site aggro, if I failed to mention that. It's a site aggro enemy. We get behind. And then we cheese it for the rest of it. Get behind every single time. Alright, good. Let me see what's in this room to see. Oh, let me actually get this chest now, because this looks free, and it looks like, yeah, the possibility that they go into that area here. Got my loss back, very good. I'm gonna pull this one, because it looks like it's gonna block me from getting to the exit right now. I did want to try to get to this room, but we'll see what's over here. It's going to be a bronze chest, which I really would like to check for that potsherd. Oh, also, Parallax. One thing that is a little different on this one, on this tutorial versus the previous one, I did have the entry of this content a lot lower than what I did before. So basically, on the initial tutorial... Hold on. Okay, we're gonna fight this one first. First encounter of the Archaeosaur. This thing is a little bit more dangerous. I would say a little less dangerous than a Wivre because of that double attack right there. But it will kind of stop to do an AoE here. So you'll have some time to actually get some damage off. I'm gonna do a leg raise after that because it did do that AoE, which I was predicting to do. So that I'll get some time for doing some damage. And then now with the leg raise to go in. But its double attack is pretty painful. It sounds painful too. Like, perfect. So I lowered the entry level of trying to get in, where in my first tutorial we had 99.99, we had a butt ton of potsherds and potions, and it was like, hey, you know, farm your potions, make sure you're kind of capped if you're going for an attempt. But now I dropped it down, where we started this run at 59.59, and I started this run with 20 sustaining potions. In the hopes that maybe, even if it's a first-time runner, to look at this run being like, okay, well, in my initial prog, like when I want to at least just get in there, try to go for the title, see how far you can get. I would say you can even go lower than that, but you can try at least that low, so that you can actually take that time to farm the Pochers on the climb up, farm the Ether Pole on the climb up, while also progressing the actual content, you know what I mean? And we're showcasing it in that sense too. So that's one thing that's going to be a big difference from this run versus the last run. Not going in that room, because there's nothing in there. I don't see a chest in there, so we're ignoring that. Score Runner would go over there for the reveal, because you can get points for getting score. But in this case, I don't really care for score right now, so we're going to pass on that room, and just go to this room. And we hit 99.99, I think, on floor 162 or something like that. We were like 99.98 on floor 150. And I think that might really help. I mean, even though I can say it all the time, like, hey, you can start at this one, blah, blah, blah. I think showcasing it, that from beginning to end, even with the lower arm and armor, you can still potentially get that clear. I think it's important to put it out there. It's always been with this content with me. It's like, you know, I think just showing the proof of it, just showing that it's done, it goes so long, goes so far with being able to explain things, you know? Opening with a sprint on the Archaeosaur here, again, it does that nasty double attack, but it does do that that AoE after that. And it will stay on the rotation, so it's next thing here. Whew. Got a little bit extra hit there. Gonna leg Graze here because it will do a double attack. Okay, Mylodon is the next. A little bit more of a manageable pull. I definitely would say that this is easier than the Archaeosaur, even though it has that that slow ball effect, slow ball attack rather. And a second wind here, which means I don't have any additional heals. I'm gonna heal here with a sustaining push. Okay. Let's do the dino over here. I honestly thought I would be out here a little bit earlier, but it's okay. He'll be coming in. Once it comes out, I will do the leg Graze for the heavy. Okay, we're out. We're going. So now we're here in a very similar situation on the previous set. We walked into the 6th floor with 35 minutes. So a timer check here. If I'm over 30 minutes, I should be pretty okay getting through the rest of the floor without using anything. If I'm under 30 minutes, I want to consider a flight or a rage or something to help me speed up. So right now we're kind of ahead of pace, if you will. And it is walking into the 6th floor that I look at. Alright, first instance of a couple enemies here. Diplo's here, but we'll do the Triceratops. I mentioned him a little bit earlier. This will be just a harder Wivre. So if a Wivre is a harder Croc, a Triceratops is a harder Wivre. Of course, it is hard if it catches up to me, but it will hit a little bit harder than its predecessor. So we'll keep away as we have been, open with a sprint, then once the sprint drops or is about to drop, we do that gravity, rather the heavy, sorry, I'm not going to call it gravity anymore, with the leg raise heavy debuff. That's how it's handled. Now the Diplo here, it's proximity. The Triceratops is proximity, the Diplo is proximity, so that's why they're also kind of annoying because they might be blocking your way. Diplo here, it'll open with Mucin. Mucin can be blocked with the interrupt. It'll open it pretty quickly on the opening attack, and then after that, for a number of them, it'll be Foregone Gleam, which is a paralyzed gaze. You can just get away from it. It is a front gaze as opposed to a 360, so it's very easy to avoid on that one. Definitely some ideal pulls on here. You'd rather fight these than the Triceratops or the Wivre because they only do single attacks. But again, they are proximity, so sometimes you have no choice because they're blocking a path away from you. Again, kind of manipulate the movement of this one here. We got the other one coming in here, which is perfectly fine. No problem with this enemy. Get right behind. Repeat, rinse and repeat. And it's about 8 or 9 times before it actually turns around, but it'll do the conal again, if it does it. Which will be the front conal, and then you can repeat the whole process again. There it is, about to turn. But it's okay. Alright, so we have a lot of kills that we can get to. I have 2 Diplos in front of me, but we're going to check the chest first, and we're going to check the other chest as well. Looking for Mimics if it shows up. Steel's fantastic. It does open a lot more doors with the steel, so a couple of the harder enemies like the Archaeosaur and the Wivre and the Triceratops are going to be ideal pulls now, because they're not going to chunk me as hard. And bear in mind that we are trying to manage this with minimal sustaining potion usage, so it'll be a lot more comfy once you're running those potions, but you still want to have that kiting going along, right? Because we're getting that balance of like using sustaining, not using sustaining, so on and so forth. I'm pulling this Diplo because it is blocking me to the path of the next room that I want to go to. Again, it is proximity, so I want to take care of this one right now. Into the next room. I'm already looking into the next room right now. 3 side enemies that I need to deal with. I'm gonna see... Okay, so I was wondering if I was going to open the exit there. If I wasn't, I was going to see about where the exit was going to be and then kind of come back and get the steel. But we'll do it now because I don't want to come back here. Again, this is another situation where, you know, you'd want to open that chest as you're going to the exit. But in this case, I also don't want to return. So I did safety, right? Okay, so we can run down the middle here to check the chest that's over here. I'm not going to check that top one, because that top one is blocked by a Triceratops, which is in its proximity, so we're not going to go over there. And to the next floor. 4 minutes on that floor, pretty good, so we're really good on time here. I would say this set is actually one set that you might actually be looking into a little bit of a time issue. And where the time issues actually come into, it's more about the proximity enemies blocking your path. That you may have to clear out way more enemies than you're really intending to. And I would definitely say a flight is probably one that might be one you want to utilize a little bit more than like a rage. You don't want to go to a rage this early, but definitely think about flights if your time is looking a little sus. We're going to pull this one, the Ptreanodon. It's a pretty easy enemy, although its AoE here, Thunderbolt, is a little quicker than your usual AoE. It won't do that much damage though, so even if you get hit with it, it's okay. But that's all it does. It does single attacks into that AoE. It is a proximity patrol, which does make it a priority pull because it could just be blocking your path in different areas, right? So we're gonna take care of that. And that, I think, almost covers all the enemies. Here we're going to pull the Triceratops here because it is close to the exit, so it is a priority pull on that front. We may have to pull this Triceratops if I want to think about trying to check out the rooms here. I might circle back around here just because I don't want to run through the Diplo. Okay, gonna do wait here. Multiple bogeys coming ahead. Luckily I have that raising going. Okay, let's see where these guys are coming. One is coming this way, so I'm going to prioritize that, but I'll wait for a couple ticks of my HP here before I make my pull. Good. Now here, actually, I might circle back. I think this Archaeosaur just moved, so I'm going to get behind him now so I can, again, check what's over in this other room as we're proceeding. And again, the movement here, I'm not actually really worried about traps at all in most of these rooms. So we're navigating while fighting, and man, is that going to save you so much time. One thing that I've seen and heard of a couple people do, because they're playing a little bit safer, etc., is that they would always do a pull going back to the spawn room. So they would pull something, spawn room, go all the way out, pull something, spawn room. And that's a lot of running going back and forth, you know? And that could toss you a lot of time. But it definitely is more beneficial to be kiting something in the direction that you're trying to navigate. But of course it takes a little bit of confidence knowing that you're not going to hit a trap. But what you're going to see my movement is that it isn't luck. Like, a lot of the rooms that I'm going through is specifically because as long as I'm hugging these walls, I know that I'm not going to hit a trap. That's how confident we're going through. And again, you can look at the difference between the cave floors, which I was playing very safely, and it wasn't just for pure demonstration of like, hey, you should play safe on the cave floors. No, because I am not gonna risk the cave floors with their dumb traps in the corners. But here, it's a completely different ball field, completely different floor set. And if we run into, we pointed it out in the last set with the stone hedge. As we see a couple more kind of variations of room layouts, we'll definitely point out potential, like, okay, this has like a problematic trap type of thing. But provided that you're watching me go through this movement, this is all safe movement that I'm doing. And I'll definitely kind of vocalize like, okay, this is one, it's like this one that could be off the wall, so on and so forth. But definitely take that into account. We're gonna pull the Triceratops. Again, it is blocking me from the left room here. Although the left room is also blocked by Diplo. But here I'm kind of hoping that if we need another kill, then I just kind of kill the Diplo, and then boom, I can get that chest that's over there, which is a bronze chest. I do want to get that steel that I don't remember where it is. Okay, Diplo going out, but holding a second here. Okay, pull. Yeah, I think we said it at the same time, Parallax. As you said it, I was thinking about it. I just have to remember which chest it was. I'm gonna go over there. Okay, got it. ESC room. Yeah, I have a bad habit of actually remembering these things, especially more so that I'm going through these explanations. I'm definitely gonna forget about those. Sometimes, you know what people have done, actually? That I've seen, which brings up a really cool thing. I've seen people... mark them. I don't like marking, but I've definitely seen other runners do this, as like, okay, this one has this, like, it's like a mental note. Like you could do in your own designation, right? 1 is a steel, 2 is a strength. But that might actually be really useful if you have, like, your markers kind of on your hotbar and stuff. That if you want to try to, like, not forget about, you know, what the chest was, there you go. So consider that as a strategy. It's not something you'll see me do, but I've seen it happen, and hey, if it works for you, go right ahead, you know? Again, this is proximity, so I'm letting it fly by. I think the Triceratops is far enough for me to get through. Yep, it is. No problem. Dead center. Again, this Archaeosaur is kind of tricky because I did not see it move, but we'll see. Oh, there it is. Okay, we're gonna go the opposite side. I guess I can discuss how enemies, they will not move, like, randomly. If they just move, so that Archaeosaur just moved, I know it's not moving for at least 10 to 15 seconds. It's just part of the mechanics of the game. But if I don't see it move, if I didn't see where it moved, it could move at any point, right? Because I didn't recognize that. And a lot of times it does help when you're kind of observing the room that you're gonna go to, so that if you already see it, like, moving as you're fighting something, then you have this, like, kind of time, this mental timer of when you're okay to pass through them. That's so huge with trying to figure out, you know, getting through and navigating rooms, etc. Okay, fantastic. I already have Korgans up here. As an excuse of this, I'm going to use a fortune because we do have Korgans. Going to do the Athlons here. Let's get these kills. If there's chests down the middle, I will try to just go for them, as opposed to, like, actually using a safety or something. Exodus here, but they're all sight enemies, so I think I might just pass them and see what else is in the other... Wow, nice fortune. Cheers. Welcome to Deep Dungeon, I imagine. Korgans have a high rate of dropping a chest, and so presumably you make it a little bit higher by having to do the fortune, and we still didn't get any chests. So nice job there, huh? Okay, I'm not gonna be too worried about this Triceratops right now, only because I have the steel running. We, I believe, have pulled everything on this set, so you've seen everything that is available here. And you can get out of this set without having a steel at all. Like, you can get through without using a single steel. It's very possible. What is this chest? Okay, I'm going to actually pop a safety here, and I will do a rage here. And what's going to be really big is because I already have the fortune going. So we will definitely try to kill the entire floor and then come back for this chest. I guess we can do another example of that Diplo, the Diplo Mucin that we showed earlier on the Salamander. So the Mucin that it does, it is a stone skin, which gives it close to a 60% stone skin. So watch, when it gets Mucin in, and for some reason you kept it alive, we go for the Rage here, we cut it down, look at its HP, still at 60% here. So you want to make sure that if you do see that Mucin, that you do a double tap, because that stone skin is very beefy. It is only an 8-second buff, but it does cast it very early on its rotation. So that's something to think about, because a lot of times you do make an assumption when you do a rage that you're gonna already kill something. I mean, look, that's why people die on no knockback floors when they get a no knockback, because their mind, your thinking is that I hit this, it's dead, and you move on to the next step. And if you're on a no knockback floor, you know, if you hit something and flip the camera, you don't even pay attention to the fact that, oh yeah, it's still alive, kind of thing. So that's one of those things that you do want to just kind of make sure that it's dead. You know, just do a little bit of a double check. But that's one enemy you want to be concerned with that, because of that special buff that it has. Mucin is a very, very big stone skin. And also, to a little bit more of an extreme thing, if you hit a landmine on an enemy while in rage, and then you hit the enemy that just got hit with the landmine, there are some server tick shenanigans where it will register that you did full damage, but the tick happens thereafter, and it will not die. It is a thing. And you want to be extra careful on that one, because, again, another situation where you might assume that you killed it, but it actually is still alive, and if it has a really bad move at the beginning, you know, let's say a Frost Dragon. A Frost Dragon has the opening Frostbite DOT thing, so if you leave it alive long enough, it's killing you right there on that spot. So you do want to just make sure about the rages and just, you know, just make sure, you know, give it a little extra look, a little extra care. Right now our time is very good, definitely better than the previous set. Definitely got slowed down the previous set, but the rage also helped here. So we're definitely good here. We're just gonna go into the next floor using nothing, and we're pretty good. And that steel is kind of here too. Affluence, already running one, so we're just gonna go to the next floor. Into 69. And no debuff, very nice. Another Mimic, not so nice. Okay, so immediately looking at this floor, you know, you want to think, what are my pulls? Where am I going? So here, one. This room over here, this Triceratops could be blocking me from potentially one chest here. So that's one may need to go on the pull. Also, over here, look at it over here. There's a Triceratops over by the exit. That has to go 100% because it's right on top of the exit. And we're calculating all of this, by the way, while fighting this Mimic. That's what's important. Sometimes that will be things that you save your time on. That you're using this time to think about your game plan on this specific floor, you know? And those are things that is huge. If you can try to handle that kind of multitasking, especially in a run like this is time saving, you know? Instead of like, I've definitely seen people where they're like standing in front of a room, they're like deliberating, like, okay, maybe I pull this one, maybe I go over here, you know, my time's looking, but like, you're spending this time standing there making these decisions, and that's a time loss, you know? You want to be doing something while thinking about what your game plan is. So that's also another thing that can be a time saver, like a very simple time saver, is that, you know, you make your movement and your pulls and everything very concise, that you're not just kind of standing around deliberating, you know? Can't pause this game, not this one, so you have to just go, go, go. Diplo's coming up next because it's blocking the chest on the left. I can get the one on the right because the Archaeosaur is a sight enemy. So this, I think this floor in particular is really showcasing how particular the pulls I'm going for here. I made it to this room. Made it to this room while fighting, by the way. And we're doing very specific pulls to get to very specific things. They aren't just random. They are, each pull almost has a meaning, every single one of them. Pop in this chest. Oh, you okay, dinosaur. I'm going to, you know, I'm gonna pop the strength. I'm gonna pop the steel later, because I know I can do the boss later, with only a steel on, but I can get through this floor a little faster with the strength on. Now, we are getting boxed in by 2 flying birds, so we gotta be careful about that. I will spike one here, and we'll kite it in this room. Luckily, we took care of the Diplo already, so I don't have to worry about that one. I just have to, like, stay within this room. And again, keep in mind of my movement, I am very confident in this room that I will not hit a trap. I am not in here if I felt like I could possibly hit a trap. If I could possibly hit a trap, I would have been in the hallway instead. But I'm not, so mind that one. That's something I feel like I take for granted, that it's something I just do naturally, but there's no meaning behind it, right? But each of this movement, each of these decisions all have a meaning to it. Especially now, you know, with all the experience I've done in this content, and all the time I put into it, and all the jobs we tried into it. A lot of the things that I end up doing aren't because of, like, you know, they're just random thoughts. They are concise. So here, I've already opened the exit, right? Because we were working through those chests. Fair, but I still gotta clear up this room over here. I gotta check this chest, and I gotta clear up at least that Triceratops. I might have to clear up both. But benefit here, I have so much time, 17 minutes. The boss is probably going to take 5 minutes of time. So we have afforded us luxury of checking all of these chests right now. And potentially, ooh, I will pop a potion here. Didn't want to, but I had to because the HP was a little bit low. If he double attacked me there, it would have been really tragic. That's a strength. The steel, I think, is behind me, right? I'm gonna get there eventually, but let's see what these chests are here. Maybe I don't have to go back, which would be nice. That Diplo is a chance of aggroing, but that's okay. We're gonna watch it just in case. Okay, we're good. It was like on the edge and teetering of that aggro. Lust is here. We're not gonna use it. We're gonna use it on the next floor, on the boss, though. We're not gonna use it here. Okay, that Triceratops has definitely come blocked me, so I will have to pull it. We're gonna pull it back to spawn here. There is a potential trap that could be one foot off the wall there, so we have to be very tight here. Okay, sprint is dropping soon, and I'm going to be doing my leg graze for that heavy coming in. Okay. Didn't want that one, that was Lust. I'm gonna go around this Diplo to see what this chest is. Hopefully I don't have to fight the Diplo, and then we gotta get the strength and steel and into the boss. Plates, which I will use. That's a luring trap. I think I can get around here this well. No, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna aggro. It's fine, it's okay. Yeah. No problem there. I'm just gonna drag it with me, because I gotta go this way anyway. I gotta go in this direction regardless, and the Triceratops just spawned here, which is a fantastic position for you to show up. We gotta go left, because it's going really far deep. Okay, this I believe is the steel. This is not danger, no. When we see it, I'll showcase it. That one in particular was not. Okay, this is the strength. And off we go to the boss. Oh, if it was earlier, I wasn't paying attention if it was earlier then. Okay, boss time. I will argue that this boss is easier than 160 in terms of damage intake. Couple notes about the boss. It is possible to do this without steel. And if anything, I will probably put my attempt of no steel kind of after this fight later in. But it is possible, not recommended. I do not recommend doing it without steel. But again, possible is still important to showcase it. We're going to demonstrate to you guys 2 different rotation on this boss. First, we're going to show the basic strategy of kind of how we used to do it, how traditionally you'll see it done, and then we'll adjust to kind of a Machinist phys range strategy and try to pivot into it halfway through. So let's showcase to you the beginning of this fight. I'm going to pop a potion here. We're going to open with the Lust. Machinist can definitely down this pretty fast. I think you could pretty much down it even with a Steel No Strength without using Lust. But opening Lust is not a bad thing, especially if you haven't seen yourself using Lust that much in terms of like on the floors, which I haven't been demonstrating. So something to think about there. So again, we'll go with a very traditional strategy here. So what's going to happen here is he's going to do an AoE here on itself. I'm going to get it away from it because you'll see buffs on top of it. You need it to be out of that thing. It's going to do a heavy on me. So what we want to do here is we're going to wait for a kind of a double attack coming in here, which will happen right now. This is a double attack, Drenz. I'm going to sprint here. It's going to do an AoE on me, and we want to be running out of it. With sprint, we'll get away just far enough. Without sprint, you are getting hit with that move. Then it does douse again, we move out of it and kind of go into this kind of clockwise position. Now, that we were talking about diminishing returns before, the heavy will be diminishing return. So now it's a 7-second heavy, and we don't have to worry about the sprint anymore because we will be able to leave the AoE coming up here on that rotation, Electrogenesis. So let's talk about its pure rotation after we go through a couple hints here. So it's going to do douse here. Then, after it comes out, it's going to open with a bit of a tank buster, if you will. That's why you have to make sure it comes out, because you don't want to get hit with it there. Then it's going to do 2 attacks, and then it's going to do another tank buster. And then it's going to follow up with the Electrogenesis AoE, which you just kind of run out of. That's the fight here. Now, the damage that it's doing is a lot, right? So once we get to 50%, we'll be adjusting this strategy to a more of a machinist strategy. Now, if you can see here, this is still manageable. I mean, yes, does it look like we're taking a lot of damage? Yeah, it does. But we're still managing the fight. I mean, this isn't too bad. So if this is something that you're comfortable with, go ahead and use the strategy. You know, don't kind of force yourself to the other one, because sometimes the other one can get a little messy if you're not so careful with it. But that's perfectly fine. So now we're going to shift into what I like to call the NASCAR strat. For the Americans, it's NASCAR because you drive in circles. So what we're going to do here is we're going to be moving around in a circle on this part. Now we're actually going to kind of adjust it a little bit differently because the puddles are a little bit out of haywire. So what I want to do here is I'm going to wait for this tank bus to come out. And then it's going to do the AoE. After it does the AoE, I'm going to run through this puddle. This puddle does not do damage on me. It doesn't do anything to me. It'll only buff the boss. As we get the boss into that puddle right there, he'll do the douse. I'm going to move away from this so we can get kind of a little bit of a better angle here. And we're going to be using that to stack the puddle on top of each other. We get the heavy here, which is perfectly fine. I'm going to be making a little bit of a tight circle here so I can get back to that corner where that puddle was. I'm going to sprint right here because of that AoE, that Drenza came out. So we'll be able to avoid that AoE right here. I'm going to get to this corner over here. I'm going to run into this puddle right over here. He's going to park himself in it, and I'm going to move away. Now, that AoE, where he puts down the puddle, does do a lot of damage, so you want to be careful here. That puddle's now gone. I'm going to continue going in a circle. Now, I kind of make the circle a little wider here to kind of get back to that spot that I want to. AoE's going to come out here. And now I'm going to run into this puddle. Again, it doesn't do anything to me. No damage, no nothing. It only buffs the boss. I kind of get to this corner here. Alright, he gets in there. Not the greatest stacking of those puddles, but we're kind of keeping the arena clean. And if you will notice that the damage that we're taking is a lot less because we're running away from the enemy as opposed to kind of being in melee. So those are kind of your two main strategies that you have for this fight. You have the traditional kind of clockwise type of puddle strategy, or you have one where you're kind of running around in circles in like a track formation kind of, if you will. There's the puddle, drops it in, and it doesn't really multiply the buff that it gets, you know, so it's not like stacking even further buffs. But again, this one, I would recommend this one if you can manage kind of the movement and everything, because it is going to reduce the damage you take. Furthermore, this strategy is how you do this without steel. So if for some reason you don't want to use the steel in this fight, this is how you do it, and being on top of your healing. So now we're going to get the puddles really stacked in, so it's going to look really nice here. So whichever works for you best. I mean, you could also go some other strategies that I've seen, which is just, we can just call chaos, where it's just basically run to the nearest open spot and hope for the best, which I've seen some people do. But hey, as long as you're staying alive, hey, you know, it is what it is. I like to kind of, I'm a little bit more methodical with my strategies, so I like to do things a little bit more, you know, as clean as possible, but as long as it's not sitting in the buff, As long as you're kind of in motion, hey, you're gonna do it. So we're doing pretty good here. I'm gonna sprint soon. Sprinting here on the Drench. And it's already dead. There you go. So those are your two strategies for the 170 boss. And that is 170 wrapped up. This will be no strength, no steel on the 170 boss. This is purely a demonstration. Maybe we can do it, maybe we can't, but we will try our best. I know Ross said this was possible, so we'll see. This is the first time I'm trying it, but I'm glad we're gonna be doing it now. I dumped this strength just so we can have that neutral thingy. I'm gonna be definitely liable for me dropping my stupid potions. I gotta watch out for that. I might overuse it. I may try to use my potion a lot sooner than I have been, because I feel like that's one thing that was getting to me, but I have to like time it pretty well. Like here would be good. Also cannot make a mistake on... I cannot make a mistake on the thing. Yo, Ao, thank you for the tier 1! That is huge, thank you for that support. Appreciate that. I think this is where it gets really dangerous, that part of the fight. Like, I'd have to survive that whole volley. Now, if I could rotate my potions in a way, then it becomes certainly possible, but I have to survive that entire burst phase. My super potion is kind of coming back up, though. My hyper, rather. I do mitigate some damage this way, too. Gotta be careful with that one. Okay, we're good. Not the best spot for the puddle, but I guess we'll take... My potion is now back up, so that's pretty good. I may hold on to it only if my HP goes low, because it looks like I will only get low HP on when he does the double hit when I am weighted. This is looking pretty good if I can maintain this. %69%. I think I'm taking the hit here. Oh man. Love that for me. This is... yeah, if I take crits like this, this is where it gets really dicey. Then I have time to get it back in. So now I think this is where I think I get the weight here. So I'm a Tactician. And I'll take a lot of damage here because I can't move very fast. Sprints. Survive long enough. My second win is back up, so I have some security here. Which I'm probably gonna use here because I'm gonna take a lot of damage. And then I'm okay with this part. Okay. I still have to, like, pay attention, because if I just get really, really bad crits, then... oh, puddles are not great. Okay. They've been better. I'm gonna be able to move soon. Okay. Halfway through the fight. Gonna hold on to that potion for now. Saving it for any double crits coming in. I don't want to go too far because that puddle is kind of too far out. I think my Tactician is lined up with when he gets the burst, the thing off. Which would be really convenient and very timely. Tactician now. Yep, it is lined up with the weight fighter circle. I may not even need a potion. Well, again, we're saving it for like a really bad crit, so maybe I do at some point, but it's actually been surprisingly comfy. Minus I think the opening phase of this. Don't hit me in the buff, don't hit me in the buff, don't hit me in the buff. Still enough time if this thing goes really south very quickly. %. And all my healing are available now. I got a little comfy with it now. Just again, we're protecting against a double crit or something. But once you get into him doing the AoE, you kind of just make everything back with a potion. I may even feel confident to do this without steel, period now. If it's like this. This would be a Fizz range only. Maybe Summoner can be in this category too. But this is definitely a Fizz range. No, I probably wouldn't do it on Caster. Caster just has, the defense is low and you don't have another healing. That's the downside of Caster there. And my Tactician is back up, which means we're gonna get the weighty. Oh, wait. A little too close to the puddles there. Okay, that was surprisingly comfy. Usually 14 players call running in circle strats Mario Kart. It's common enough that Mario Kart and PF listing is expected. Good thing I don't do PF, so I'll call it NASCAR. You know what's so funny? Yo, Ket, you know what's so funny? I always called it NASCAR, even back in Heaven on High. I was watching a wonderful creator, Nefsi, who was going through Dungeon. And she, by the way, knocked out Deep Dungeon really fast. She's talented. But she lives in Europe. And so when she heard me say NASCAR strat, she's like, what's NASCAR? It's funny. And I'm like, oh yeah, you know, that's something I should really think about. Like I gotta like, you know, we have like a global audience, right? So I need to make sure I'm not speaking in like very filtered, closed out like words. And I'm like, so I was in her chat when she was doing that, and I'm like basically like how I explained it to her, I'm like, it's basically F1 just more boring. That's how I explained it to her. But then she's like, I don't really know what, well, she knew what F1 was, but she's like, I don't really know F1 either. Because the F1 is like more European, I believe, or more like fancier, like people like it a lot more in Europe. Does the tank buster one shot with steel? No. So as kind of mentioned, I'm not sure if you caught me say it, go not gently, but you can't do this without steel, as long as the healing's rolling. So it is possible to do this fight without steel, this entire fight without steel. So it doesn't one shot, it does a lot of damage, but you're mitigating quite a lot by having to keep that kiting pace, and because you're not taking damage on the movement, that's what kind of slows a lot of that damage down, as opposed to the first half of the strategy where you're just taking shots like on melee range. But that was the old strategy that we did, you know. So, you know, whichever you'll be preferred, you won't die either way. You'll probably use a lot more sustaining potions on the initial strategy. I never realized the puddles didn't do damage. Oh yeah, Miss Iridia, like a lot of people assume, look, it's a very good assumption in Final Fantasy XIV. You see bad shit, you stay away from bad shit. But in this specific instance, it doesn't do any damage. It's just a very special case, you know? So making the assumption that it doesn't do things, it's a correct assumption. Sometimes I zone out and I end up putting the puddles too far apart for the third one to have the run straight across the room instead. Well, I like people doing the X strategy, right? It's just like you go from one end to the other. I mean, look, it's messy, but...